Hey guys, welcome to the Monday Night Review crew, talking all things round 11, where Code Sports keeps trying to get me to sign up to their super premium super coach package because they know, hey, about now half the competition's logged off and the other half are using things like DFS Australia, Fan Footy, and the Super Coach Projections app, which they might include in goals next year. How you doing, Kai?
Yeah, I'm doing all right. I feel like I'm taking the blows for everyone else in the community at the moment, but I'll gladly do that if everyone else has a decent year.
Nah, fair enough. Is that a case of like, hey, my rookies aren't surviving? Is that a case of, well, every player I bring into my super coach team it just somehow gets injured? Like, where's this coming from?
Let's just say, what was it, Saturday night at about 8:40, it looked for a second that I had traded in a total of 7 points for the week. If that gives any semblance of who I had traded in.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, there were a few people like myself. I got stung with the Tom Gross. I got stung with the Cooper Simpson, and as you say, Mr. Shy Bolton, who somehow managed to get a 73. And I'm not sure if that, if I'm going to be happy with that result or not happy. I mean, he made money, which is good, but he may end up being someone we have to trade out in a couple of weeks.
The thing is, if you actually flip his first half and second half, that 73 is probably just a 90. It just sucked that by the time he actually started to do something, the game was just dead and buried. So I think he kicked a goal with 10 seconds left and it scored 3 points or something like that, or 4 points. It wasn't much. It was something. It was also the same with, I think, Lachie Whitfield scored 15 points in the last 20 seconds and it scored 2. It was or something like that. He had 2 marks in a little bit, and it just did nothing to his super coach score, which is rightfully so in those sort of blowout games, but sucks when it happens to your player.
Definitely. I mean, he didn't get the Jack Sinclair, 20 odd points for a late goal. He got the Shy Bolton. Well, you didn't do much in the first quarter, and your heat map wasn't great. And just looking at his CBAs at the moment, 44% is probably where we're around it. It did feel like from watching the game and whatnot, he was stuck in the forward line a little bit more, but just got nullified quite a lot. Nice to have Freo winning, which is great, but not good for our super coach scores. I mean, thinking about it in hindsight, it's not so bad when the likes of a Chad Warner only scores 3 points more. So we did okay in that respect.
The fact that Chad Warner could have gone 130, that was a good watch. Well, not as a Sydney fan, but as just a non-owner. The fact he was on 33% in the first quarter for disposal efficiency or something like that and had 5 clangers.
Yeah, it's we beat Ryan Marrick owners this week, Kai. So pretty happy.
I don't even want to talk about Ryan Marrick. I don't know if you saw that conversation that people were just some people need to smarten up that super coach scoring doesn't equal actually being good at the game. It just means that you've because he was getting 5 points for just a 20-meter sideways pass. And I'm just what is going on here? Whereas Jordan Dawson, the next play would have an intercept marked and then an effective kick and get 6. And I'm I think I know which one's more impactful for the game. Yeah.
It's in some respects it's good. In some respects it's bad. I quite like the scoring a lot more than AFL Fantasy, where it does seem you can get 50 touches, but if all of them go out on the full, you still get the amount of points. Or kick to the opposition. A lot of North players do well in fantasy because we get the ball, but we're not good with it. So works out all right there.
Some defender.
Well, there you go. Moving through some comments. Hey, lads, Carnage Central, Simpson, Reed, Spargo, let alone the buy players plus the dead rooks into the top 2K, but not expecting to stay. There you go, Michael. I've made a bit of a tricky trade at the moment, potentially bringing in a few overpriced rookies and maybe Hardeman the week after. So we'll see what kind of happens there in terms of my team and whatnot. Velo, how you doing, Velo? Evening all, better week for me. Scored 24-12. There you go. You beat me. I assume you beat Kai as well. Kai?
Oh, yeah, by 100 points.
There you go. This week will be tough. Same as Michael with injuries, buys, and a dead bench. Might scrape 1,800. Yeah, it's we've been blessed, I think, just by how good Max Gawn is as a ruckman, as a player. Effectively, after like round 6, when I had Gawn and Cherry in my team, I've only captained Gawn and Cherry, and it's worked. So very happy there. But yeah, a bit of a rough one. I'm currently projected 2067. So we'll see with a few extra changes. I don't think that includes Zach Reed being injured, and Simpson being injured as well. So we'll see. It's not fun. I currently have 17 if Baz plays. Thoughts on Baz, Kai? Do you think he plays? 10-day break. I know, people were talking about, hey, had to get 4 jabs into the shin to keep going. But 10-day break, you reckon prediction? Do you think they're going to rest him, or do you think they're going to keep him going?
I think they will rest him, which will be so annoying. I think it's like the one game that you just didn't want him to play, the cross-country trip. I think they're playing in West Coast or over in Perth against the worst team in the league. Like, that just spells we're going to rest him, we're going to get him back, and then he'll be fine in a couple of weeks' time.
Yeah, fair enough. I'm personally hoping he plays. It's going to be interesting, though. I always say, and it's definitely something to look at right now, Tom Green owners are very happy. Anyone who's got Geelong players are very happy as well. You got to play matchups from this point in. It doesn't matter that, Josh Dunkley scored 800 points and has a 300 average. It really depends on who you plays for the rest of the season, because it's who you bring in versus the guys that you bring in and their previous scores don't hurt you too much. Hey, Bella, how you doing? G'day, mate. Have 19 if Sada's place. There you go. G-Bags, how you doing, mate? Thoughts on who I should prioritize trading out this week? Roberts or Zach Reed? Probably bring in Holmes for one of them. Well, Roberts is currently playing, and Zach Reed is not playing. And a lot of people are going to struggle to have 18 this week. So I think Zach Reed is probably the one you trade out. I think they're around comparable points, but at least, Kai, if from memory, Roberts at home does okay compared to Bice and some other players, because they're playing at the SCG.
Yeah. Sorry, I don't know if my mic might pick up some things at the moment, but his lowest score at the SCG is an 82-84, but he's got only 2 tons outside of it. But he actually doesn't. It looks like over the last couple of weeks it's probably evened up, I would say. But yeah, he's still got 124, 95, 119, and 82-84 at the SCG. So that should be better, I would say, than away from home.
Yeah, I always say prioritize taking the injured player out beforehand. Is there a reason why guys like Roberts and maybe Bice, maybe not Bice to a lesser extent, but has there been a change-up with Sydney's backline at the moment where Roberts maybe just isn't getting as much? I know Nick Blake is taking a few more kickouts and whatnot. Let me just pull up the stats while you have a chat.
I don't know what it is, to be honest, because the overall numbers aren't too bad for Sydney in terms of like the team stats, etc. I think it might be just the efficiency, if I remember correctly, from Roberts. I know that last year he couldn't basically miss a kick, it felt like, and then this year it feels like him and alongside a lot of them are just missing simple kicks. And I also think there's a problem with Sydney's effort levels and everything. Yes, he's down 9% disposal efficiency is Roberts, and in the ton games he's going at 73, 79, 77, 76. It actually kind of shows that it looks like, what's different though? I think I spotted it with Roberts. It seems to be the games that he doesn't get contested possessions are the games that he doesn't score well this year alone. Just looking at him, you can see that his ton games, he's had 7, 8, 10, and 5. And then also the 95 in round 1, he had 7 contested possessions. The only outlier to this is basically this 9 contested possession in round 5. Other than that, he does have a couple of 7s, but most of them are 2, 1s and stuff like that. So I think it's a combination of disposal efficiency and contested possessions that's just killing him. It's not actually the marking, because the marking's between 8 7 most weeks, 9, etc. So there's not much difference there. So I think it is just his disposal efficiency that's really
definitely.
just kicking him down a little bit.
And if we look at kind of this week as well, I think Nick Blakey picked up a few more kick-ins. Riley Bice definitely had quite a few more compared to the last 2 weeks. So he actually had more than Roberts last week, which is crazy. And then Lloyd, Florent, and then your old mate Callum Mills. Do we know if he's been suspended or not, Kai?
Yeah, he got one game.
He was the trade-in target for everybody, but kind of sucks. 1 week for Mr. Callum Mills. Does that take him to his bye round, or does that take him a little bit longer before the
round 14, I believe, is their bye round? So that would mean that suspends him for round 12, which means he comes back for round 13. One of the good things, though, and I think it's something that's going to happen for Sydney is, and it's definitely been talked about, it's just, and I think I mentioned this maybe 3 weeks ago, is that
week versus Port Adelaide.
Yeah. Oh, but they'll lose that game anyway, so they'll probably have horrific. They've beaten Port once in the last 10 years or something dumb like that, and that was in the finals last year. They haven't beat them in the regular season in so long. But anyway, one of the good things about Sydney at the moment, and I sort of mentioned it, I think 3 or 4 weeks ago when before they won 2 out of their last 3 or whatever it was that they might start playing the kids, and I think you're starting to see that with Sheldrick. I think he's got 2 games in him now. I think that they just realized that, and there's also been sort of an not under the surface, but sort of a whispers that West Coast have put some offer in front of him, and they're like, maybe we should actually play the guy to keep him in Sydney. So I think he's going to get an extended run in Sydney in the midfield, because they basically can only lose 3 games for the rest of the year, and they've got Adelaide, Brisbane, Geelong at least, alongside Western Bulldogs and Port Adelaide and teams like that. Even just Essendon, I think they'll beat when they get Errol and stuff back, but it's at the point now where they might as well just play the kids, finish 5 positions lower and get a better draft pick.
They've Sheldrick, I think, as well, from memory, can tell me if I'm wrong or not, but really does offer something different than you guys actually have through that middle. He's almost like I'm going to say budget George Wardlaw. Loves the contested ball, kind of gets the ball and does the good clearances as well. So something that maybe you guys haven't had for periods of time this year.
The thing about him is that he's just...
Yeah.
If you actually look deep down about the Sydney side in general, you'll see it's about 4 or 5 A graders, and then the rest are just role players. The thing about Sheldrick, and I'm not saying he's going to be an A grader, but he has that difference compared to the rest of them, that he's just able to get the pill at ease when he's actually on the park. Whereas if you look at Sydney, you look at Lloyd, you look at McInerney, you look at Roberts, you look at Bice, Florent, etc. Pretty much all of them, other than Heaney, Warner, Goulden, and stuff like that, they're all going to give you 15 to 20 a week and probably give you a 7 out of 10 pretty much most weeks. Angus Sheldrick has the ability to probably have a 30 possession, 8 or 9 tackle game in him just with the way he plays. So that's why I think he's a difference maker for Sydney when they actually get their players back.
So let's hypothetically, I'm not saying guys bring in Sheldrick, whatever, but I am saying it. We'll see. For you people like myself,
I think he could average 85 for the buys. I think he could do that.
Bench. So let's go. So versus Adelaide, what's our prediction?
I think you could put him for 80 to 90 each week, depending on the matchup, to be honest.
80,
if you do that.
Yeah. 80 versus Adelaide. Richmond, probably you're going to smash them through the middle. So
95, we'd say.
95. That's 300. Maybe not 300. Projection. So we're saying if you pick up Sheldrick this week for 237K, by round 15, or by round 14, obviously, we could end up getting almost 100K out of him. For us people like myself that basically have dead rookies up until that position, Sheldrick plus 2 guys on the bench could end up being a primo. So just something to consider there. I think there's a few players in the similar type of position, even the Sandy Brock now with, what's his face, out McGovern for the rest of the year. potentially Marek losing his job role as well. There may be a bit of opportunities for some people there to stand out. Kai, we'll see how we go. Bloody Gross, break even of 13, couldn't even get that. Sandy Gross, mate, what a... there's a few of these type of players. Reminds me of Patton 2 weeks ago, Kai, where he came out and scored like the 3 or something and then got dropped. Hustwaite as well came out and didn't score much and then got dropped as well.
Yeah, I think that's just almost the way this season has gone. It's just it feels like if you put all rookies as a percentage of all rookies, I would say an extra 20-30% of them have ended up stalling at around that 160 to 190k, or maybe it's just the popular rookies that have done that, whereas in years past you get them up to 250, 300k and they're an easy leapfrog at this point. But even like guys like Lindsay and guys like that have stalled, and it's taken quite a while for him to get up to 310. I wouldn't be surprised if you were to run back the pricing mechanism of him averaging like 70 or whatever he's done non-injury, he'd be at probably about 330, 340 now, and it'd hit 300 in like round 7, not round 10.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, like if you had Langford and things like that as well, so many points left on the table, potentially.
Everyone would have Langford if there wasn't the sub rule, but there's the darn sub rule.
There you go. Campbell, how you doing, Campbell? How's it going, lads? Decent week for me, 23.68. I think you beat me by... Did you beat me this week? Let me quickly check. Or maybe I beat you by 30.
Got me by 60 points.
I beat you by 30 points. Slowly climbing the ranks. Got some good trade-ins from the past few weeks. Jackson, Martin, and Sinclair. There you go. All 3 went massive this week. Luke Jackson with no... Sean Darcy's obviously a big one. Sinclair as well. And cheeky Nick Martin, the guy that was under 500k 3 weeks ago, is now 560, and it hurts. As a Zach Merritt owner, when you don't have Nick Martin, one of them gets tagged and it's never Nick Martin. So we'll see how he goes against Brisbane. But yeah, would have been great to pick up round 5 at 516k and you'd be laughing.
Yep. He's gone off. But I will say that there was one statistic. I think I might have put it even in the group chat. I think against bottom 8, Nick Martin is averaging 125 or somewhere around that marker, mid 120s. Against top 8, he's averaging 78. And I believe they have the Brisbane matchup this week, do they?
Yep.
Or they have a tough matchup this week. So, I will gladly stay away from him, as I feel like he could get someone like even someone like a Jared Berry could easily just run with him the whole time or something like that. And then it's just like, well, So I want to watch another week and just wait for them.
Well, it's probably a little bit too late as well. I think that statistic is probably a little bit of just Essendon in general. They get smashed by the good teams, and then when they play the bad teams, they're good enough. The older players stand up.
They've got Brisbane, Carlton, Geelong, Fremantle through the bye rounds. That could be. Brisbane will be top 8. Carlton won't be, but they're definitely improving. What even happened with them? Did they lose on the weekend?
Yeah.
They even play? And then Geelong will be. Who do they play? That's how much I've checked out of this week. Who did they play? 1 second.
Fixture.
They would have
11.
played.
Who can get there quicker?
They played the GWS, didn't they? And lost that, didn't they?
Yes. Yeah. 110 to 82.
Yeah, they decided to have a shootout against Jesse Hogan and lost.
Yeah, a bit dumb. So really nice trade-ins, Campbell. Very, very happy with those. You should be right for a lot of the buy rounds as well, because Jackson and Sinclair both have the good buy. Had Simpson filled in for a donut. Same with me. I'll talk about it in my team review, but this week the best 23 out of 22 would have only netted me 1 point, which was in essence a good thing, but also a bad thing. I looped Carroll with Simpson, Kai, because I thought, Simpson should be able to score more than a 47. Didn't end up happening, and then Matt Flynn was my lowest score on field with a 46. So thanks, Matt Flynn.
Well, I caught the double WA disaster. Yep. Let's just call it that. because my bench is so horrific. I wish you know what the problem was? You know how I said I swear Monday, was it 2 weeks ago? I'm throwing up between El Hooli and Sheldrick. One of them's torn a hammy, and one of them's has gained 80k in the last 2 weeks. I picked the wrong one.
Yeah, well, I mean, I picked Sard a week early instead of going Sandy Brock, who was on the bubble. And I'm probably have to pay up for Sandy Brock, who's now 100k more expensive, or more than 100k after this week. So that's a bit rough. Initiator, how you doing, mate? Here we go, 23.99 this week. I was actually really surprised, Kai, this week that there wasn't as many high scores. I mean, I thought I was on par, but still went up quite a lot. Really did feel like there are a lot of crappy scores this week.
I think it was I think it's Saturday kind of deaded everyone from memory. Like, I know everyone after the Thursday, Friday was like, oh, this will be a good round. But just looking at some of the scores of the highest owned players, you got Harry Sheezel, 63, did a lot of people damage. What else? A lot of DMPs also didn't help, that McRae and Horn Francis are being held over by quite a few, me included. So when they get back, my team will actually look competent. Kako as well is still 40% owned. Simpson stuffed everyone up as well. And you have to say, that's the thing. That's just one of those super coach killers. There's nothing that you can do. Hindsight will say, oh, obviously don't trade him in, but that was the most obvious trade in for the last about 3 or 4 weeks, I would say, in Simpson. Like a secure roll of 60s at 113k with like a minus 60 break even or something like that. That was pretty obvious. A lot of people, Tom de Koning didn't score well. Who else? Bice, a lot of people still held Chad Warner as well. And then, who else? Luke Trainer probably killed off a lot of people as well. His 28 playing as a half forward. Hugh Boxall as well. So I just think the rookies didn't really score well outside of what Ashcroft, Lindsay and Reed to a certain extent, but we kind of hoped for more, but he's going to kill us this week or annoy us this week.
Yeah, definitely. Velo's saying here 36 teams scored 2,600. So, big discrepancy. I think the guy that's number 2 jumped. I know CWT, if he's online as well, jumped up 30-odd ranks this week. He's now ranked number 5. So congratulations, CWT. Bit of a rough one there. Clary. Can't believe I'm going to bring him back. Kai, is it Clary time? Can we survive? Do I need to make up a Canva meme of Claritine but put Clary's head on there? What's happening?
Was he 140 odd in the end or something like that?
It's two weeks in a row of big scores. Looks to be like he's actually having fun in the AFL again, which is very nice. Low break even. I love
how you said a big score is a 99.
Hey, it's bigger than what he's done the last few weeks. 99
he
against
has 2 130s and then a couple of 90 yards. So I would still stay clear. I think he had he had 7 tackles in the first quarter or something like that. He was basically just grappling on to, and he also had the matchup of, and this is why I think they almost both did well. It was Sheldrick versus Clary. So Sheldrick would get the ball and then Clary would just tackle him. It was, I think that he got quite a few tackles early, which would have boosted his score. And then, he 130 in the end is huge. But I think having only 2 ton scores in 11 or 10 games, I don't think Clary's a guy I really want to turn back to. I think he's just going to be a guy that's probably going to average 95, 100 across the year with a couple of spike scores, and this is one of those spike scores.
My problem as well, I'm currently checking out my round 15 buy, because that's what Clary's got. Adelaide's got it, Melbourne's got it, and then West Coast as well. So there's probably another club in there that has it that I currently don't have a player from. But you're going to end up getting banged up a little bit. Paras, 2 legends right here. Thank you very much. Someone as well mentioned that Marek scored horrendously, Kai. We didn't mention Marek.
That was quite funny. Yep. That was such a... I think I posted the tweet halfway through the game or maybe a quarter of the way through the game. And it was something I've been talking about, like, with other people as well. Just Marek being pretty useless to actually helping a team out, and then he just goes and you also watch him in when he also has a turnover. He is a horrific defender. He had, I think, 5 kicked on him himself on his direct man. I think Rochelle kicked 5. He also gave away 2 or 3 free kicks in the contest as well. So he almost had about 6 or 7 kicked on him in the game. He had 5 kicked on him last week. So he's had 12 or 13 kicked on him in 2 weeks.
Yeah, it's not good. It's really not good for those people that have him. Let me just try and find it. Simpson still made some cash. There you go. Warner seemed to be not interested at times, and it looked bad. Yeah, not great. Simpson 8 to 12 weeks. Reed 3 to 4 weeks. Bailey Smith potentially out as well, and it's come at the wrong time. I think injuries are never great, but it's really come at the wrong time where guys like Matt Flynn are basically on the cusp of starting to lose cash, which is not what you want. We've got guys like Sheezel. There's a couple of questions in here as well about him and how I'm most likely going to end up trading him out either this week or next week. And yeah, it's the wrong time to have injuries. Kai, I've never been jealous of people that have had boosts up until right now. If I had the potential to trade out 4 players this week, I'd be very, very happy with the amount of good players and low break-evens to bring in.
Yep. I'm just looking at that round 14 buy and going, maybe I can just get a couple of those cheapy guys on that buy and skirt around the round 15 and 16. Like you've got Ned Long, Angus Sheldrick, and I mean Clark won't matter too much because it's a direct replacement of like a Reed, etc. But if you can go and get rid of potentially 2 or 3 round 15, 16 rookies or primos that are going to be there, you're definitely going to help yourself out because the round 14 buy doesn't have the, how do I phrase this right? The premiums, I would say, but it has the scoring out of just those filler players that could easily just put up 80 per week for 3-4 weeks.
Yeah, definitely. Not even including the likes of Sardar Hooley, who got dropped and then did himself in the VFL
in 5 minutes.
Yeah. Simpson's out, as you say there as well. Tom Gross is probably going to get dropped this week after his 8. Maybe Hustwaite comes back.
Yeah, because you know what he did? He put a midfielder at half forward. Like, what are you doing putting a midfielder at forward pocket? Like, he wants to... I just don't know what his end goal is to play these sort of... I know that there's some... You sort of have to have some experience, but playing a guy completely out of position where he's not playing in the VFL, he's not going to be playing there like next year in the AFL anyway. And when you get rid of like... Didn't they sign on Tim Kelly? But don't know why they did.
Another 2 years.
Yeah, once you get rid of like those sort of Elliot Yo's, the Dom Sheeds, the Tim Kellys, Gross is going to be the next midfielder. He's not going to be a small half forward averaging 8 touches and like a tackle a game.
Yeah, it's rough. I wonder if they've done that. Like Harley Reid said, hey, get all these players in. It's going to be interesting what happens with West Coast as well. I know Freo potentially has a spot or 2 in the mid-season draft. Maybe West Coast goes after a couple of players. So, yeah, got a good week here, Kai. Gary, how you doing, Gary? Mills offered 1 week suspension. There you go. Currently ranked 482. Gary, I'm ahead of you this week. And thinking of going early on Clark to free up some cash for either Green or Merritt. Which one? I don't mind the Clark. The coach has come out and basically said, hey, he's good in... which Clark are we talking about here?
The Essendon one. I mean, cool. Scott's probably come out and said we don't have any fit players.
Yeah, basically. They're debuting another halfback because I think Redmond's out for a little while as well. And no Ben Mackay this
and
week.
Also, Ben Mackay, Reed. They've lost 2 ruckmen, 2 key forwards, and 3 key defenders, I think, this year. I want to say. Plus, they've got other guys out.
Gary, I would probably wait for team sheets, but maybe Campbell Gray's good this week, and then you can grab Clark next week. Just so you've got a guy on the bubble every week and you're potentially losing out on some cash. The DPP is nice as well. Green or Merritt. Now, if I look at the run for either, let's have a bit of a sneaky look. Matches, fixture, filter. Sorry, 1 sec, everybody. Let's make this work. Cool. So going via GWS, where are we up to now? GWS versus Richmond this week is always going to be a smashing, so it's worth having a look for them. I think they beat Port this week. The Giants is going to be a tough one, and then the Suns as well post-bye. But even after that, straight after the bye round, they've got the Eagles. They play Essendon again, and then I think they play North, so there's going to be an easy win for him. Look, I don't mind Tom Green, to be honest. I think Merritt suffers because Brad Scott's not a great coach, and I think Merritt, as some of these more and more players start to get injured from this Essendon team, Merritt is just going to struggle. His scoring might be a little bit okay just because they don't have as many people taking points off him, but
I actually wonder if he gets better.
I'm more saying that I think he gets more responsibility, which means that he's going to get targeted a little bit more.
I think that they don't. If you look at their mids, and hear me out on this, a lot of their mids are more of that destructive forward sort of contested mids, and I know Merritt can do it, but Merritt's one of their better kicks. If they keep losing backman, he might be forced to play off a halfback flank and then just kick it around for fun. So,
okay. So it's not genuinely better in the midfield. It's
more him just getting to
get injured. So now he's got to play.
It's
halfback.
more of him just getting a bruise-free role almost because they've got no one else to go back down there because you're not putting Durham at halfback or Caldwell.
Yeah, I think one of the tricky things as well is that Tom Green has a fairly low ownership from memory. Let me see if I can find it. Yeah, only in 6% of teams, whereas I think Merritt is quite high. I mean, I'd pick anyone versus Richmond this week, so that's probably a good thing to do. But Merritt is.
They actually have very, very similar fixtures in any way that who they play.
Yeah. Like 16% of teams have Merritt.
Yeah, just like looking at it, they both play Brisbane within the next couple of weeks. They both play, I think, is it West Coast? They both play, I think, Gold Coast, Richmond. I mean, it is across like a 10-week season, but they almost within the course of about a week or two, both play almost the exact same side. So it's honestly, who do you think is going to score more? And I just don't know if Tom Green has that ability to go 150 plus that Merritt does. I know that Merritt's, their team's like got about 5 players left uninjured, but I just don't know if Tom Green has the ability to rack it up enough, especially with Whitfield and Ash in the side to do it.
No, fair enough. I like Green better though. Thinking Reid to Holmes, Simpson to Clay, Smith, and Parker to Toby Green. Thoughts? Oh, who's Clay Smith? Am I missing a rookie? Who am I looking at? Clay Smith. Are we talking about Caleb Smith from Richmond? I assume you're meeting Caleb Smith.
Yeah, surely.
The one that's supposed to be doing a lot of kick-ins because Jaden Short might not be in the team. And Parker to Toby Green. Okay. Worries. I think you can you grab so how much is Green? Toby Green.
Surely like 5.
Bro, he's gonna go big against Richmond. He might be the sneaky pick.
Yeah, he's gonna go nuclear.
He might be the sneaky pick, Michael. All capped Simpson, Gross and Trainer on field. Yeah, unlucky. I got Whitfield last week. What is his role? If we look at
Tim Mitchell is his role.
Yeah, Tim Mitchell brought Whitfield in, which isn't great. If we check out GWS, though,
let's put it this way: even people in the fantasy community are starting to knuckle down on Tim for when he does it. That's how bad it is.
Yeah, so we look at Lockie Whitfield last week. Round 3, 7 kick-ins. Round 4, 2. All right. Round 5, 6. Round 6, 6. Whatever. 2 weeks ago, he had 11. This week, he had 0. He was stuck. And this is the most damning thing because I haven't even looked at
He played every position on the ground other than taking a kick-in, basically, and ruckman. He was in CBAs. He was on a wing. He was at half forward. He was at half back just at the wrong time when there wasn't a kick-in.
Yeah. Yeah, it's rough. I think from memory, they were trying to negate his effect on field, and it didn't work. I remember at parts of the time as well, he was in the forward pocket, but maybe he didn't get any of the touches there. Ran back at different points as well. It was a bit of a mess. Put that down to... They were trying to
at one point play him in like because Callahan plays an almost similar style to him in the midfield, so they were trying to like replicate that, and then they just went, Xavier O'Halloran's just a better player in the midfield, isn't he? Let's just put him there. And yeah, he was at one point playing at half forward and then immediately almost playing as an attacking winger. He would come down. It was just like his magnet just got flicked around every centre bounce.
Yeah. Hopefully it doesn't happen again. I was cursing Leon Cameron over the weekend. Leon Cameron came back from the dead, came back from the coaching death and coached GWS. So yeah, a bit rough. Hopefully it doesn't happen again. Hey guys, got Cherry and Gorn with Sims R3. Nice. Have TDK in the flex. Looking at bringing in Luke Jackson. Thoughts on running 4 rucks, especially if Darcy comes back in? Look, I don't mind it. I think that Sean Darcy's probably not going to play much of this season. Let's be honest. I think he's up for trade bait. Seems to have come back too early from overseas and just keeps getting injured. There might be periods of time where he doesn't, but I think Frio's midfield / forward line looks better with Jackson in it anyway. So I don't mind it. The only problem with Jackson is that you're missing the big score that he had last week. And if I just quickly check out his break even, I think it will be okay. But it just sucks that your break even of 42. So you're bringing in Jackson being like, hey, I think he's going to be a keeper for the rest of the year. This week it's versus Wits, who naturally negates a lot of Ruckman. He did the same thing to Rowan Marshall last week, ended up on like a 40. He's also one that scored really crap last week, Kai, that people brought in.
Yep,
so
I remember saying this, being like, I'm happy about that. I remember saying I think that Cherry and Marshall would have about a 30 gap or 40 gap for the next 3 or 4 weeks. Well, that's 1 week down and it was about 70 or something.
Yeah, so you're bringing him in to be a keeper for the year at that price. He should go up a little bit in price, but just have to be careful that check out his matchups over the little while. Freo play Gold Coast this week, and then they've got the bye.
Like Adelaide.
Yep. Then they play North Melbourne versus Cherry, so maybe Cherry redemption game. But the week after they do play Essendon. So
but Essendon might have a mid-season rush by then.
Yeah. So just have to be careful.
Yeah.
You can bring him in if you want.
It's not a terrible run, but it's still iffy run, I would say.
Yeah. I'd rather spend the money on getting a good midfielder in, to be honest.
Yep.
Thoughts on trading Hall to Richmond Rook to prize cash? Yeah. Cash gen over the next 4 weeks is really going to suck. This is the week to do it because I've said before, we said it on Thursday as well. No player doesn't have the bye this week. So there's no priority to get in like a Connor Rosie, maybe a Ned Long or someone if you're looking for a low break even, but you're not going to get punished this week. So offload some of your dead rookies if you can, even if it's banking 50K and spending a trade. It's in some essence is worth it. So
put it this way, if Zach Reed wasn't injured, I would have even considered a triple downgrade, just getting rid of the guts that are on my bench at the moment. Like I would almost consider a Gross, El Hawley and Henderson just all out, and then just getting like because I think that would even get me to something like a Sheldrick, a Clark, and a Smith or something, which isn't even that bad. It's just Reed and having no. Yeah. So yeah, that's something I've definitely considered if Reed wasn't injured.
Nick Vlosten is one as well that I think some people are sleeping on. So we'll talk about him in a little bit. Doing really well. Negative break even. Bit sexy for your people that want to go a bit sideways before going up.
I just want to ask quickly here, what do you think about the Stewart discussion that's been happening as well?
Look, it's rough. Yeah. Halfway through the season before Tom Stewart got injured, I traded in Tom Stewart. I think I went Roberts to Stewart. And then, so I spent a boost.
Not bad.
Yeah, I spent a boost to get Tom Stewart in. I spent a boost to get Tom Stewart out in consecutive weeks.
Spend an imaginary really boost to get him in.
Yeah, it is really rough. And if I do it now, I'm committing to Tom Stewart. He is a very low price. Geelong do have a very good run. They play West Coast. I think they play Richmond, potentially North, and a couple of others as well over the next few weeks. So there is potential for me to get him back in, but every essence in my body says no.
I'll also add that, like we were saying with Bailey Smith potentially getting rested, I think that Geelong could do the smart thing and give him a rest maybe 3 weeks after their bye or something like that. And suddenly you're like, well, down to 22, which, I mean, it might just cost you 10 points there. But that could be the difference between picking someone that's, like even someone's just mentioned, I think Jai Caldwell might be 429K. I'd much rather Jai Caldwell at 430K than a Tom Stewart around the same price.
Yeah, I mean, I'd rather Ned Long, who I'm seriously considering bringing in this week.
I've had him in trade plans.
At that price. The kid's a freak, and I hate, similar to a Marek, and it kind of saves me this week, I hate watching Collingwood games, and Ned Long does nothing and then kicks the 2 points, and then, hey, look, he's now at 100 Supercoach. So, yeah, it's a tough one. Tom Stewart, yes or no? I understand people bringing him in. If they didn't get burnt the same as what I did, 100% chuck him in there. If it works trade plan wise, okay. Yeah, bit of a think for myself. $1 million question: do we trade Sheezel?
How good is your team that you're thinking about that?
I would say yes. So Stuart, I'm advocating trade Sheezel. The last couple of weeks, North Melbourne's team, they've messed around with him quite a lot. They've changed positioning. This week definitely is in the forward line. There's a lot of comments throughout the media and whatnot of, Sheezel, where do you want to play? Oh, I'm a forward, which I think is the most stupidest thing ever. When North Melbourne offload guys like Luke McDonald at some point, Sheezel next year at 400K, cool, very, very happy. This guy has had the massive fall from grace. My only question with Sheezel is, do you trade him this week when he's not losing cash, or do you trade him next week at plus 20K to someone like a Connor Rosie, who you know is probably going to be playing backline? That is probably the main question for myself at the moment. But I am definitely a Sheezel advocate trader, and you're going to start to see the advantage. I mean, we've seen it already with a few people that had like a Holmes over Sheezel. I mean, if you did that, you would have banked 60 points this week and a bunch of money. Next week, you can do similar as well, or trade him this week and do it. So big advocate of getting rid of him. You will be a good point of difference if you get rid of him, because there'll be people that have been forced to keep him. And the will really hurt.
It's definitely intriguing, because I'm just thinking about it now. It's like you might spend effectively an extra trade in the next 2 weeks if you trade him out and hold like a Reed or something like that. But it means that you can get to potentially someone, I guess, bigger. Like, I think in my trade plans, it was like a discussion between like the 430K or like a 450K guy compared to like a 510, 520K. And there's a lot still lingering around that 510, 520K.
Well, you this week, right?
A Wangani Malira. Look at that. Just a Wangani Malira straight to.
Hypothetically, this week, you could go Sheezel and Reed to Holmes and Stewart and have cash left over. Like, there's two players getting out for two players that you know at least what their roles are going to be. And you're a lot more happier because of it. So potentially that's something that some people are thinking about doing. And then maybe grabbing a Campbell Gray or someone as a good cash generator. Connor Stone potentially goes. Cooper Simpson potentially goes, that kind of thing. So
I just found the perfect trade plan. Just thinking about that.
All right, go for it.
Zach Reed, Sheezel, and Stone out for Holmes, Wangani, Malira, and Clark.
There you go. So you get two good players. You get...
and I make a little bit of cash.
I wouldn't even bring in Clark. I'd bring in Gray too, because then you make some money.
Yeah. You bring in a rookie at that point or something. Just whoever honestly plays.
And it works. So
whoever gets named but not sub.
Yes, trade Sheezel. I think he's done. I think North Melbourne are playing around too much. And you don't want to be the guy that's got Sheezel scoring 60s in the second half of the season when you had the chance to get rid of him. I don't think he gets dropped. I don't think he gets injured, hopefully, but it is a tough watch, and that is the worst thing when you've got no trades. Hey guys, what's your general thoughts on Green for 370? I think he's going to be fantastic. There's always someone like this that pops up. I remember Dylan Moore being this type of player. It's more about him just not getting suspended for the next little while. GWS is pushing for finals. He'll have games like this game on the weekend where Richmond are going to get slaughtered. Noah Bolter is very happy that it's not a nighttime game. Yeah, a lot of the focus is going to be on Hogan, whereas Green, I think, has Green had any CBAs, Kai? Let me just quickly pull up.
I would think so, because that's usually what happens with Toby Green is he averages like 15 or so %. And then with Callahan being out, I think he copped a 50% a game in one of them.
Yeah, so this week,
he's been up.
This week, 58%.
Last 3 weeks, he's at about 60%.
Oh, even the week before. So this week, 56. Yeah. Last week, 48. The week before, I think this is potentially the week when Callahan got injured, but maybe not, came in with the 79%. So he's there. This is the right Green as well. So he's around the mark. Yeah. I mean, he's had 3 scores of 85 Supercoach. It's not great. We take out that 50 score. He's on 100.
Can I say an odd thing?
Weeks. But I think it's more reliant on goals and stuff as well. So it is a risk.
His actual best score with like over 30% CBAs that I'm just quickly looking through is that 127 in the last like 2 years.
Yep.
He actually scores better without CBAs.
Oh, of course, because he's the forward target and he gets to do funky stuff. So it's a risk, Aussie. 100%. It's a risk. Like any player that you bring in, like Bolton, like any player you bring in at 370k are going to be a risk. So that's the only thing to really be careful of. That's about it. Hey, fellas, G-Bags, need some cash in this week. Unsure of which trade I should make. Marrick down to Green or Simpson down to Campbell Gray. Look, I don't think Simpson's ever coming back.
No.
I think you can keep Marrick. I wonder if that's just a speculation thing. He's had some poor scores before. Yeah.
He'll pop a 120 next week or something.
Probably.
Just knowing enough.
He'll do something funky. He got burnt so much as well. He was in halfback and they just didn't kick to him. It was the funniest thing. They kicked it over his head. Duggan, I think, hates him. It took the kick out and then just didn't kick it to him. So
I love seeing the turnovers about 65 meters from goal, and then Marrick just already lost about 15 meters on this man, and then it just goes straight over the top of his head, and the man just takes a mark in the goal square, kicks a goal, and it's like, well, I wonder whose man that was. Happened at least 2 or 3 times, and then he tried to coat hanger 2 other guys.
Kill the dead rookies, G-Bags first. Hey, lads, lukewarm weekend with me, 23-14. There you go. Going Reed, Trainer, and Hall to Holmes, Anderson, and Gray. Fantastic. Was looking at Cozzy Pickett, but the round 15 bye kills me forward-wise, and he could drop a score with Oliver, with Viney back. There you go. I quite like it. Anderson may be a tag target at some point, but that's fine. Trainer, Hall, and Reed. I like it. Looks good. What do you think of Caleb Smith? Look, I think he's going to be okay. He was one that a lot of us had in our Supercoach teams start of the season as, hey, look, this guy's taking all the kickouts, he's doing really well, blah, 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 blah.
Without the sub, he's a 65 or something, usually, is what I can sort of gather from what he's played and sort of what you would expect from his VFL scoring, I would say, because you're not going to expect a 1-to-1, but I'm pretty sure he's averaging like 90 or something in the last 2 years in VFL. Obviously, that's fantasy, but you can sort of translate that across to about a 65 or 70.
Yeah, if I just pull up his stats a little bit here. So scored the 69 Supercoach this week, 9 kicks, 11 handballs. I don't know if it shows me kick-ins, but I can have a look. No kick-ins this week. So played backline. Looked to be okay. Look, I think that's just the type of player he is. If the ball's going to be in their backline, he might be there. I'd probably wait for him to be on the bubble. No, he will be on the bubble this week because he scored a 9 and then had a couple of crappier scores early in the week. What is his break even? Let's have a sneaky look.
It's got a -4 break even.
Yeah.
So yeah.
He'll be okay. I like Gray better. I think Gray has some better job security, and the coach has come out basically and said, hey, and Gray's cheaper. The coach has basically come out and said, hey, we love him in the back line, but if we need him to play forward, he'll play forward as long as he plays. So that's always a good sign.
Just don't put him in one of the best, please.
Yeah. -52 break even, should go up a bunch of money. Scored 82 last week, and if we have a sneaky look at his heat map, get rid of that one. It's not there. What's his name?
Wasn't he one that was just sort of taking intercepts after intercepts, just like?
I think so.
6 intercept possessions in total. I don't know. I'm just trying to figure out how many intercept marks, but I swear I just remember him taking a couple.
Yeah, 6. So played back pocket, 6 intercepts, tall player, was kind of playing the Noah Bolter type role because obviously Noah Bolter wasn't there on the weekend. But I think he looks quite good. Played around the ground as well. So these are the type of players alongside a trainer that they need to start blooding. This is kind of where
it took 3 intercept marks in that game, which was second to only Ben Mackay. Which probably shows the quality that was on that field and the defense for both sides.
6, right? 6 intercepts?
6 intercept possessions, 3 intercept marks.
There you go.
But yeah, that's pretty much what I think a Wiedering was sort of averaging, if that makes sense. But Wiedering obviously can have those monster games. But yeah, I think that's sort of what he was averaging roughly.
The week to bring in Dacos. Let's quickly check out Dacos.
I was looking at this in my review and just went, this is unlucky. Again, another guy I brought in at 580k being like, he's going to be ungettable, isn't he?
Now
4 weeks later, well, now he's 530k looking at. And if he didn't have that last quarter as well, that he had 17 touches and just sort of kicked it around the back line, he could be gettable at, 500k or something?
Yeah. Look, I think if you don't have him...
Even worse.
If you don't have him, it's a beautiful price. That's all I'm going to say. Lose, got smashed by GWS. There you go. Need to find a primo for the buy rounds, 14 or 15. What options do I have? Look, grabbing a bargain. Let's have a sneaky look. If we pull up the fixtures.
14 is basically, that's the 14 buy. It's Gold Coast, Sydney, Collingwood, and someone else. I forget who it is.
Collingwood, Suns, Sydney, Richmond. Okay, I really like Ned Long.
Anyone?
Look, I could say Ned Long potential keeper primo at this point. That's how hot I am on Ned Long. I think he's getting better and better and better. And
one thing we did say last week was Rao turning the corner, and he's gone 1-2-4, 1-2-1. He's definitely there. I think there could be a similar price game of 160 in here.
Yeah,
I think there could be a big price, to the point that I'm even considering going it over Wangani Malira just to sort of even out my buys, because I've got 6 guys on the round 15 buy that are primos. If I can get that down to 5 and get that extra guy on round 14, and then it's just a lot easier to handle, I feel like.
Yeah, so Ned Long, Rowell or Anderson there. I wouldn't touch anyone from Sydney or Richmond. Potentially Mills, but I think he might get suspended, and we'll see what happens. Round 15, probably no one. I think a Dawson could be okay. If you don't have a Petrarca, potentially, I wouldn't touch anyone from the Eagles. So Long, Anderson, Rowell, potentially Dawson as well. Looking at a bargain, we're looking at Noah Long, who his stats have been fantastic. I think the last few weeks as well, with the likes of Pendlebury, side bottom and whatnot being rested, they're resting these players because they can trust him to do well through that midfield. There's no pressure to play these guys. So there might be one of them coming back, and then the next one coming back, and the next one coming back. I think Anderson and Rao are going to be fantastic as well. So, yeah, one of those three probably. Thoughts on Took? I think he's going to be okay, but probably wouldn't pick him over Matt Rowell or Anderson. If he had forward eligibility, it would be a different story, I think, but I believe he's just missed out. He was around the mark, and for 100K cheaper, I would 100% go and grab a Matt Rowell instead. Any of them in contention? There you go. Marek scored badly. Yep. We'd rather get Rowell back over Oliver, 100%. Thoughts on Jared Witz? I think he's great. High, but he's a bit expensive. What it is, 490K, break even 53, so should go up a little bit of money. Maybe he's going to be 510 next week. What's his run look like? Jared Witz, yes or no? It's a no.
Yeah.
Maybe it's a Gorn
I would
downgrade,
say so.
but I wouldn't be downgrading Gorn. As much as we want to downgrade Gorn or a Cherry, it makes it really rough if you do so. So probably not. Brock had one kicked on me in 4 weeks. I wish I had seen. I wish. Marek gone from keeper to a must trade in 1 week. Knots with a break even of 152. I mean, we said the same thing about Caleb Daniel as well, right? 2 weeks ago, people were like off with his head. 2 scores of okay, especially for a forward. I mean, if you can score 95,
well, he's not too bad.
You're happy. Yeah. Now he's gone back to being okay again, and if he scores
now you're
a few
more he's 2 kicks away from having a 110.
Yeah. Especially with Sheezel no longer being there.
110, that's great points at this point of the year.
Yeah, done. No Sheezel as well. So Riley Hardiman is fantastic, and I think he's partly why Sheezel's been okay to play back. Just the rise of him has been phenomenal. 2442, nice work, John. Trade out McRae and the Horny Man. There you go. Got the Bolts. Happy to trade back in. Reed to go this week. Rosie will come back. Nice. Very nice. You must have a lot of good rookies on your bench that aren't dead. I've got 20 playing this week, sort of average, mate. I currently, if I look at my team, Reed is out. Simpson is out, because that would have been 2 nice rookies. I currently do not have 20 playing. I currently have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 out. So what's that make? 6 out of that is 7. I've got 17 playing. It's rough.
Yep.
It is rough. I think more people are going to be around my position
21.
than your position.
After trades, I'm up to 21, and then Gross is a potential iffy 22.
Yeah. So I think at the moment before trades,
sub or DMP.
I think at the moment, tandems before trades, a lot of people are in my position because a lot of people have port players and things like that as well. And then now we've had to deal with Reed and Simpson and a few others. So there you go. Can't wait for Joe Tears with both Reed and McKay out. Bro, I have his team review waiting in the wings. Just need to download it and upload it. It should be out tonight. Who they're going to pick and play? Sard come back, maybe he's injured. They're just going to keep playing the rookies through the VFL. Saying, yep, you've played, that's it. Neil or Zorko could go massive against the Bombers, 100%. This would be the week to get Neil in. If you don't have him, what is Neil's? I have Josh Dunkley, so I can't do it. But Lockie Neal, 570K, projected at 123. He's probably going to go 140 plus against them. Whitfield played half forward. There you go. Jide Caldwell, sneaky pick, Kai, 429K.
Yeah, I don't mind it. I've definitely looked at him. I just need to figure out what went wrong for him. I mean, he dropped 21K. He on a one. Was he injured or something in the last couple of weeks against the Western Bulldogs? He dropped to 40. I mean, they all stunk that week.
Yeah,
I think he's definitely a guy that what did he do last year? He went at 95, 96 last year, and I think he's only gotten better. So could he do 100 from 429K, which is basically priced about 85 or something? You could probably hope for that. You just really hope that he doesn't put up a 40 in the next about 3 weeks. Else, if you can escape him not putting up 40s and putting up, say, a 110, a 190 or something like that in the next 3 weeks, you're absolutely fine.
Yeah, so he's beaten up on a couple of teams. You're obviously getting him cheap just due to this poor patch of scoring. Came back from injuries as well. I don't mind him. I had him in my forward line in Supercoach. So like last year, did quite well, was a bit of a pod there. Disposal efficiency is around the 70% mark, so a little bit of extra time and potential there. CBA's okay as well. It's just rough, man. It's rough being an Essendon mid. They just get slaughtered. What happened versus the Doggies? They just got smashed. I don't
He's
think he
also
did
on
that
the
well
round
against.
16.
Yeah, I don't think he did that well against Sydney as well, and then Port Adelaide a little bit better. So you're taking the risk. He's a sneaky pick,
Yep.
but for how many more K can you get Matt Rowell? Like
60K more.
Yeah, 60K more, Matt Rowell. I like this one. I'm all aboard the Ned Long train. So I think he's better.
Yep.
Yeah. He's going to be a pod pick, but in saying that, it could help you, could hurt you quite a lot, Tony. So 2304, how you doing, mate? Corey, do you still have boosts left? This is the perfect time to use a boost. If you still have boosts left, you are laughing. So works out all right for you. Thoughts on Anderson? Does he have a good run? I think so. Let's have a sneaky look. Kai, Noah Anderson, thoughts? Went up by 15K last week. 69 break even, so it looks all right. Projected of a 107. Let's have a bit of a look. I think just as Gold Coast are getting better, Anderson's getting better. The scoring has been okay, but there's been a lot of just 100s. And I think looking at the team, no one's tagging Touk Miller. He's not impactful enough. No one's tagging Matt Rowell. He's a bit of a monster. Everyone tags Anderson. I think that's where some of the poorer score comes from. Like even the Marvel score of a 113 is great, but some of the other scoring's not been very good. It's rough. If he plays at TIO, he definitely does a little bit better, but it is so up and down, up and down, up and down. I think potentially Kai, when he plays against a good team, he scores poorly. Against the bad team, he scores well.
Yeah. Yep.
It's rough. Would you bring him in?
I'm more sort of hunting around the 400K marker and just seeing if I can get something very, very, I guess, cheap around that range there. So I'm probably not going to be bringing him in, but yeah, that's just me at the moment. I'm trying to almost turn 1.5 players of like a Sheezel and a Reed into two.
Into two primos that you can keep for the year. Yeah, no, I get you.
Yep.
I get you. There's a lot of people who are like, ooh, can I afford that sub 500K in my team and be very happy? Velo's predicting here Shrek to Carlton if and when TDK leaves, potentially. I think it would be good for everyone. From memory, though, Carlton don't have a lot of first-round picks, so it makes things a little bit tricky. Guys, if you haven't already, like, share, subscribe. Do the same thing for Kai as well, trying to get him to... Are you at 1K subs yet?
Yeah, I'm 1.1 or something like that.
There you go. So no needing to get Kai to the 1K subs, but smash that like button anyway, guys. It's a lot of fun. Considering Jeremy Cameron or Pickett this week, wish I could afford Holmes, but might get Holmes with 3 trades. Not sure. Only want to use 2 trades. Look, I'm looking at my team. I currently have 3 rookies left. I might burst out 15 trades in the last few weeks, and just roll the dice over however long left, and just say it's been fun, fellas. AFLW starts in a couple of months, and Supercoach went well. AFLW, yay! Just being one of those kind of years. So it's an interesting situation, I think. Was chatting with Kai this week. Oh, there you go. About Marek, only good for Supercoach. If you didn't have kickouts, it wouldn't be good. And this was a problem with a lot of people as well, is that he had monster kickouts for a lot of the season already, but it was his intercept game that kind of brought him up. And I think last week they made him a bit more accountable. So it just kind of sucked. Sheezel is the Jaden Short of North Melbourne. Is that a fair comparison, Kai? The Jaden Short of North Melbourne?
No, I think he's better than Jaden Short, but yeah, that's quite funny actually.
Yeah,
Oh man, if only I kept Rosie over Sarong, then I'd be able to almost do like a Ned Long and Sheldrick and Rowell in for Sheezel, Reed and Henderson or something like that, and just I'm falling about one defender short, which is a little bit annoying.
So
Anyway.
we've still got Clark. We've still got a few other players coming back. So, and we know the mid-season draft is here as well, and we know that there's 100% going to be some players in there. One McCarthy heading off to West Coast, who potentially could play next week. Could just slot straight in. Would be great for them. Start looking at guys like Sard and Carroll as being, hey, can almost get 100K from trading out Matt Carroll Kai. So it slowly figures itself out. Glad I got Ned Long 311K. Looked at him trading 2 weeks ago. Yeah, definitely that 50 scared a lot of people off. Sheezel to yes. Going Sheezel to Holmes, nice. I'm sure I won't get the only person to do so. Yeah, I'm very, very upset at myself for going Josh Dacos over Holmes last week. He was on for a decent score in the last quarter, just didn't touch it, which was frustrating. But yeah, Sheezel to Holmes, no problem there. Jump on the Geelong players if the buy around doesn't hurt you too much. Love Wang, there you go. 300 off going Josh Dacos, Holmes and Gray for Sheezel, Trainer and Spargo. Could trade for Hewitt instead. Maybe there's someone else you can get instead of Josh Dacos because he might be shitty. Thought of trading Marek instead of Sheezel to save some cash. Look, I think Marek has more of a chance of being a keeper than Sheezel does. So either or works. Sheezel doesn't lose money this week where Marek does. So I just have to be careful with that. Who to get out? Camporelli, Stone, or El Huahi? Well, I think Sard is going to be out for a considerable amount of time after doing his hammy. Stone and Camporelli. At least Camporelli's been named emergency the last couple of weeks.
Yeah.
Which we're hoping post-buy he comes back, but we'll see what happens. And he's the one that makes the least amount of money for your team as well. So you just say, well, currently my M11 doesn't exist. It's 113K, and if I bring in a 99K player, makes me 20K. So if that works out, it works out. But I'd rather trade out someone else like a Sard or a Stone that might not come back at all, but at least I can make 70K out of trading a Stone to a Gray or someone like that, or a little bit less out of going a Sard. So that's probably a good way to have a look at it. What if he gets half back? Look, it's looking like he might have a run through there, but it's looking like he won't. Guys like Hardiman are doing very, very well. Caleb Daniel definitely is picked up in terms of scoring and capability. Guys like Aiden Core have come back as well. So, and even Luke McDonald didn't have a terrible game on the weekend. So, yeah, not great. Would have been close in Rising Star North. Yeah, maybe next week, Hardiman. Thoughts on Caldwell as a flex? We covered Caldwell, Kai. Bolton, Gray might struggle to play. I think the coach has said, I don't know if we can pull up the tweet or not, but the coach has basically said, hey, we love him in the team. If he plays backline, he plays backline. But if we ask him to play forward, he'll do that just to play. So I don't know if I can do it, or you want to have a look for a Kai.
Let's see if I can find it.
Should I go along or Rowell over Anderson? Look, Captain Flash, I think for a lot of people at the moment, not having money is a real problem, like a real problem. So get the cheapest players you can who you think you're going to keep for the whole year is probably my thing, because no cash really sucks. Like it really sucks. No cash. Caldwell, yeah. Just don't know if he plays. He'll play, but his scoring's very up and about and whatnot. So there's value, but I'd rather Ned Long. Captain Riley O'Brien in draft, nice. What's going on with Parker? He's old. That's what's going on with Parker. I think the club and the way that we play and just not getting as many possessions. They try and run through with the young people. When it's a tough game, he might jump in, but I think as well, Wardlaw coming back might have pushed a little bit of his scoring out. Yeah. Trevelyan comes in for me as well, I think, looked better than I thought. There you go. Long is 2K cheaper than Caldwell, hence why I want to go Caldwell. So why I love Long even more. And I think he's got a lower break even as well. 736K post trade. I'm going Bont, Richards, and Clark from Cleary. Nice. Ethan, how you doing, Ethan? Thoughts on Pickett? Now we can have a bit of a look at Pickett.
The injury list for Richmond's just looking bad. They've just updated it today.
Almost as bad as Essendon's at the moment. So,
yeah, Richmond, Essendon, and Sydney are horrific.
First thing I always try and look at is let's check out break even. So this week he's going to go up in cash, regardless. Cool, we know that much. If we check out his scoring over the last couple of weeks, it's been really good. A few people brought him in just before here, and he started to go bang. Now, there was some talk as well, Ethan, that potentially with Viney back into the team, it may hurt him a little bit. I think that's where the 70 and 77 and the other scores have come in as well. But the last 3 weeks, 3-round average of 123 is available in our forward line. Got DPP, which is great for those people that had him. Okay, time on ground as well. Kicking efficiency has potential, so you could get a little bit more from him. And I think Melbourne in general just getting a little bit better as well kind of helps. But the CBAs is the big one. If we look at him, like last week, got some CBAs, but still kicking goals. How many did he kick? Kicked 5 goals last week, hence the massive score versus Sydney. Sorry, Kai. The week before, though, he was bangbusters right in the middle. And I think the week before, he was gangbusters in the middle as well. So they really like him. I know they tried to do something similar last year with giving him a bunch of CBAs, and it was the age-old, hey, Tom Papley plays midfield, so let's try and get someone else. You know, do we have a small forward who can potentially do it? I know North Melbourne tried it a little with Cam Zurhaar. We've seen Toby Green in the middle as well, getting CBAs and stuff too. So nice to have that good electric burst and whatnot. Like anything in Supercoach land, it is a risk. They could be a few things changing and whatnot, but as potential forward keeper, cool, I don't mind it. The beautiful thing about him is the way that Melbourne are playing as well. If he doesn't score points in the midfield, he should be good for a goal or two a game. They're just coming out a bit more exciting. So it would more just be, at the moment, I've currently got Petrarca as well and a Rankin. I think they all have the same buy round. I think it's round 14. Round 14 is juicy. Round 15 is the really tough one. So I've currently got these 2 in here as well. If I was to throw a Pickett in there, my forward line's dead. That would be the only consideration, I think, for yourself. But chuck him in there, mate. Have some fun this year. Could be a nice pod for yourself. Could be a nice pod.
Yep.
Clarko's ruined Sheezel, not even getting CBAs, let alone. It is what it is. I don't know what's up with Clarko. I think they're just trying to experiment and figure things out. And biggest thing for North Melbourne this year is that we've got so many players that are still up for I'm going to say suspension, still up for contract as well, that they're trying to figure out who's being kept and who's not. And potentially that's a Sheezel moving around and stuff too. So, yeah, it's unlucky. He's been good. If you picked him up at 650K, it's probably a failed pick, but it happens. Tom Gross, Clay Hall, potentially. It's weird because Tom Gross, before he came in, was dominating in the waffle, but ended up having to play forward pocket just so he could get into the seniors. So I think it's more a midfield problem for them, but getting dropped so early and only scoring an 8 in Super. The coach doesn't care about Supercoach, but only scoring an 8, getting dropped so early into the game, I think potentially Clay Hall comes back. Geelong play, and this is the big thing. This is why all about Holmes, all about a bunch of players. Geelong play the bottom 3 teams, and this is why Geelong are going to make finals, Kai. Geelong play in Baslenka. I feel like that Homer Simpson looking at donuts picture. Geelong played bottom 3 teams 4 times this season and only really played 2 or 3 teams with half decent mids. Saints, Giants, and Dons twice are the 2 hard matchups. Brisbane and Gold Coast are GM. Yeah. That's the big thing. That is the big thing. That's why jump along these Geelong players. You play the fixtures for the rest of the season when looking at bringing players in. Who plays Richmond? Who plays North? Who plays West Coast? Is there any teams that play all 3? Things like that are the ones that you need to start looking at, because I don't know if Supercoach or whoever's going to bring out an easy fixture map. I don't think I can do that with... Oh, I can. Winner. So let's have a look at this. I'll see if I can be something a little bit sneaky. Who's the easiest teams to play against, Kai? So if I say...
Richmond, West Coast, North Melbourne, I would say are the big 3 easy ones.
Yeah. So who plays these teams a lot? Are the players that we really need to start considering bringing into our Supercoach teams. Let's scroll down to this week. Well, that's why Chera's really good, hey? North has this week off. Cool. Giants, Richmond, Geelong. Max Holmes plays Geelong. I mean, he plays West Coast this week.
He plays Witches Hats.
Yeah. So the week after, Richmond versus Sydney. All right. You probably don't
Richmond will win that.
From Sydney. Maybe. Do you think Sheldrick goes big?
Yeah, I think he does against... I don't think they're going to they'll put a McIntosh onto Heaney, you would expect, or onto Warner, Tim Taranto onto the other. So he probably gets... Who's even in that midfield? It's probably going to be McAuliffe versus Sheldrick.
So, rip. I think they have the bye. Round 13. Yeah, cool. So round 14. So Carlton looks good. Frio's looking okay. And then we start to look into some of the nasties. So Carlton plays North and West Coast back-to-back. Look at bringing in some Carltons if you haven't. Someone like a Hewitt, or a lot of us have a Chera still. Looks quite nice. This is why we're talking about post-buy. Carlton is fantastic. West Coast and then Freo. Let's go. So Doggies versus Richmond. They're going to score big. Carlton versus North. And then it moves into some of the other teams too. So, yeah, it works really well. Start to look at the matchups a little bit and who can pick on the best teams. Moving down the list, I think Geelong plays us. Geelong plays Richmond. Geelong plays West Coast in the next 3 and a few others as well. So, start to predict these, who's playing the worst teams at the times, and kind of go from there, I think. What are you going to say, Kai?
Yeah, I think that Geelong and Carlton have the big spike games in the next at least 6 weeks. But, I mean, I would just be just looking at it. I think the biggest danger games are actually for almost in a way the rucks. I know some people are still picking up rucks, and just some of the flips that you get in the last 5 or 10 weeks with the rucks have been so damaging. You've got West Coast who's plus 36 and Gold Coast who's plus 29. So if you said that, say, Cherry had West Coast and then, say, Rowan Marshall had a Gold Coast, which I think almost happened, that's a 65-point swing just based on matchups alone before you even get to the quality of players. But then you look at inside mids and the worst is a -10 and the best is a +6. That's a lot closer than 35 and -29. So I think that's just the biggest. I think that matchups can go somewhat far if you're picking on a base-to-base basis. But if a guy is just generally 10 points better, it's going to be hard for him to be worse than a guy.
I agree, mate. Don't even look at Carlton players. We're terrible. Bello, you're upset. heading down the list. So thoughts on Pickett's, whether you have Rankin or plan on keeping Marek? Yeah, 100%. This is another one as well. So if I didn't have Simpson, if I had a Marek or someone in there as well, you could end up with having 4 mids having the round 15 bye. Plus, if you had Oliver in the midfield and then potentially Max Scorn and stuff too, you really don't want to neck yourself too much.
If you take out Nankervis against Richmond, the last 4 rucks have gone plus 61, plus 65, plus 79, plus 65.
Against who?
West Coast Eagles.
There you go. So who's playing West Coast this week? Well, no one's got Geelong. Next week,
West Coast versus 150.
Cherry next week. Cherry round 13 locked in as
Cherry
the captain.
could genuinely go 200. There is a genuine threat of a 200.
There you go.
And of course, you're not going to have trouble looping him because we're in the buys.
Yep. And half my players are dead anyway, so it doesn't matter too much. Is Pooh worth looking at? Look,
isn't he coming back from injury?
If you had, yeah, well, that's the big thing too. If you had said to me before he came back in, cool, is he worth looking at? 100%. 100%. But I think now his just level of scoring hasn't been that good. If I quickly, 1 second.
The funny thing is he's probably going to be that midfield rookie next year, which is even funnier. I mean, he is averaging 64, like, so he's probably going to average like 75 or whatever across the year.
Yeah.
But you'd still almost take a flyer on him next year. So, I just don't like it this year that he's still returning from injuries, and then it's like, well, yeah.
Yeah. Look, I'm going to say it again. For 100K more, you can get Ned Long. But previous to last year, so he had a few big scores, whatever. We're probably only going to get 65 to 70 out of him, even with the decent disposal, pretty crappy disposal efficiency. He's not getting the CBAs, and I'm not sure why he's not getting the CBAs. Potentially with a Jack McRae out, we could see that a little bit more, but I would just not. I think there's better players.
They've given 108% of CBAs out of the 300 you give for midfielders to Hunter Clark and Zach Jones.
Yep, because they're both dominating in that midfield at VFL level.
Yeah, but that's VFL level.
Yeah, but they're the ones you chuck in there in the midfield. Yeah. Jonas, my bench does not look much better. It looks pretty junk too. Dogs have a good fixture post bye. Hawks, Saints, Richmond North, 4 of the. Yep. And this is why a lot of people are saying grab a Richards, grab Bontempelli if you can post bye. Potentially I could have been there if Stone, Patton, and Simpson had gone up a little bit in cash, but I just don't think I can afford it. So, yeah, those that have Bont are going to be laughing. Those that don't are not going to be laughing. So, it's rough. It's rough. We got 15 odd trades to finish your side, which is something to be looking at, I think, a little bit. For Marshall, 124 points win. There you go. Ratkin scored 104. I mean, when no Farrell in the team, someone has to step up. So maybe he's the sneaky one, Kai.
Watch him be the savior again.
I'm grabbing both. There you go. Maybe we'll finish up.
He's 233K.
Yeah.
Ratkins is 233K. If he goes a ton
let's pick.
If he out of buy, if he goes a ton again, are you picking him up in round 14 for a round 16 guy so that you can grab a primo elsewhere?
Mm-hmm. I think it would depend on Port's injuries. So just be like, hey, Port's injuries. I would be more inclined though to pick up let me just quickly check. Kane McAuliffe scored a 97. And then
what's he priced at? Is he around that 230K as well?
Kane McAuliffe 287K. Negative 22 break even, looks to be going up 40K this week with the 66. And I assume he's going to score more than that. Little bit of a sneaky one. Velo is going to pick Hardiman over Ratkins. There you go. Just a bit of a sneaky one for him. If I check out the Richmond kick-ins, Nick Vlosten is there. Who was I looking at? Was it Lost? Maybe I'm mistaken. Give me 1 sec. All right. Forget what I'm saying. Caleb McAuliffe, though, looks really good. Pick him up if you want someone cheap that's got a good break even. There you go.
Yep.
Hardeman over Ratkins. Last couple of questions here, guys. Would you consider Hustwaite and or Sard dead rookies? Well, Sard is injured. Hustwaite could potentially come back this week. So that's pretty fair, hey, Kai?
Yep.
Yeah. And Jeremy Cameron, spelt his name wrong, but that's okay. Handy draw for 438k. Yes, he does. And he might be a better pick than Toby Green. Unfortunately, Green does not have... Green is just cheaper. That's the only thing. Last question here. Is Riccardi worth it for his DPP? Look, I think he's had an okay run recently, but I will not be touching it. I'm not going to touch him. Guys, it has been a fantastic day. Thank you very much for the 50-odd people that have been watching. I know Supercoach through the buys and whatnot has been a little bit slower, but here to answer all your questions and whatnot. Got our members live stream tomorrow at 6 o'clock and then the drive home at 5:30. Kai, what have you got coming out this week?
Just Wednesday night will be both just trade targets videos, and then Thursday just my team reveals. I might because I'm sort of me and Corey are waiting for the women's AFLW to flick over their squads to the 2025 season. Once that happens, I'll probably get into some team previews and stuff like that as we head into that. I think that's 70 days away, something like that, 75 days away from that season. So you'd expect the app also to open up in the next 4 or so weeks, I'd say, next month. Yeah,
definitely. Mid-season draft as well, guys. So hopefully trying to get Wednesday. Dylan Alexander to come on talking about mid-season draft on Wednesday. If not, Joe and I are looking to probably do something for that day. So keep an eye out for that. Going to be fun. A few more players into Supercoach, which is always good. Velo, thank you very much. Good evening, lads. There you go. Go Roos. Sorry, no Blues here. Have a good weekend, lads. It has been a lot of fun. Any final words, Kai?
Just do the opposite of whatever I say on Wednesday night. That seems to be the way it's going this year.
And do the opposite. Don't bring in the same players as Tim Mitchell, because every player he's brought in has died. That's the big thing. And have a lot of fun. Get these dead rookies off your bench. Get these dead players off your team. Make sure you've got 18 plus every week, because you don't know. Zachy Merritt, 156. Jordan Dawson, 138. Cherry and Gawn are going to be big scores as well. Sneaky things happen. Have a good one. Or Joe's trade-ins. There you go.